Oh, friends. It's hard to know where to begin on a day like this. I know that your presence means so much to this family and to one another. I also know that none of us want to be here, not like this. But I'm a big believer that showing up is a sacred act. And so your presence here today is meaningful and it's good. And we want you to take care of one another. And for our young friends here and classmates, I want to make sure you take care of one another too. And if you need something, you let us know. Before we begin, I want to share just a couple of brief announcements. And that is, we're going to have our service here. Afterwards, we're going to go to Mountain View Memorial Park for the interment, for the burial. After that, for those who want to extend some condolences, you can return to the family's home in Niwot. And part of Jewish tradition also is that when somebody who's important to us dies, we make acts of tzedakah. Tzedakah is the word for righteousness and justice. And so one of the ways we keep memory alive is by making contributions to organizations or institutions and places that help bring healing in the world. And the family has asked to support a wider community, is that in Peter's memory, we make acts of tzedakah to mental health partners. That takes care of folks in Boulder County. We'll ask you now to just take a breath and take care of yourselves, and we're going to start our service. Death has taken a beloved member of a family and a community, and we are going to remember Peter. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there's lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. And as they feel lost in this kind of sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends, all of you who are here, and so many who are not. So hear them, O God, and please be with them, for Peter's love that united us in life in which death cannot ever sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and now is a very precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to the Holy One. But this is a time of incredible grief. Part of our tradition is to turn to words from the Hebrew Bible. We look at, in particular, Psalms. The writer of Psalms knew what it was like to hurt and feel despair, but also having a sense of God's presence was able to find the strength to carry on and journey forward. And that's our prayer for all of us. To know that you're not alone. And in this difficult journey, today and the days to follow, that there is a source to help you with strength, wherever that source might be. So these Psalms tell us of a message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with our Creator, and light is in darkness, and joy is in sorrow, and life as in death.
In grief, in pain, in despair, we turn our eyes to the mountains, seeking comfort, strength, support, seeking the source of all.
Adonai mi yagurbo halecha, mi yishkon bahar kodshecha, Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere the Eternal One, who give their word and come what may, do not retract, who do not exploit others, who never take bribes. Those who live in this way will never be shaken. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, b'nodeshe yar b'tzeni, al mei menuchot yanhaleni. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of deep darkness, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table for me in the presence of my foes. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Holy One, now and forever. O God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to the earth, saying, "Return, O mortal creatures, if only we were wise, that we understood to where we're going. For when we die, we carry nothing away, but mark the wholehearted, and behold the upright, they shall have peace. You redeem the soul of all of your servants, and none who trust in you will be alone or afraid." There's a teaching, and the child asked, "Tell me of life." And the sage answered, "Life, my child, is a mystery. We do not ask to be born, nor do we even understand the meaning of birth, of creation. We grow and we experience life's pleasures and pains. We love, and oh, so slowly, we come to realize that we have become, that we are. And at that moment, we humble ourselves before the mystery of life and quietly say, 'Though I knew not, I have been granted the most precious gift of all, the gift of life.' And the child asks, 'Tell me of death.' And the sage answers, 'Death, my child, is a mystery. It's the inevitable return of the gift of life, the gift which came free to us. We live as the trustee of that mysterious being, of that unexplainable becoming. Yes, you and I are but trustees of this life. We nurture it, we delight in it, we give of it to others. And the beauty, my child, is that what we are, what we have become, remains long after the gift has been returned. It remains as a precious keepsake with our loved ones who do live on. In Ecclesiastes, Kohelet wrote that the eye never has its fill of seeing, and it's so true. Young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of the world, never complete their task, never cherish their loved ones enough, and how they yearn for yet another respite from such a final summons, and how we yearn to have them close to us for another challenge and joy in our lives. So we ask you, God, be now with those whose hearts are broken, because whenever parting comes, it comes too soon. So console them. Be near to them when light seems distant. Sustain them until that time of healing comes. We know from the Bible one whose name is Job. And Job, in grief, cried out, "Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach." Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach. God has given and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Holy One. We in the Jewish community are an ancient people. We're well acquainted with grief and with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us, and yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and that there is strength in faith. With Job we say, Adonai Natan, God, you have given. You have given us a loved one who will not be forgotten. For all that was good and enduring in his life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Job said, Adonai lakach, God, you have taken away. But I will tell you, I don't believe that God takes. I believe that God receives with open arms and embraces and cares for our loved ones. And if God can receive, then just perhaps God can also send strength to our friends, to mourners whose hearts are broken, and turn those broken hearts into an altar of trust and of love. And we say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach, blessed be the name of the Holy One, now and forever. There's a line in the Hebrew Bible that says, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Yomar Elohechem. Bring comfort to my people, says God. And that word, Nachamu, is repeated, it's emphasized, and it's an instruction. All of you have to go and provide comfort. And these words are read in Jewish tradition after another Jewish holy day that marks a calamity. Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av, marks the destruction of the ancient temple in Jerusalem and the exile of our ancestors from the lands that they had known to Babylon. In Jewish memory, this was an awful upheaval in their lives and in their faith. And it's still observed and remembered today because people lost their lives and thousands were exiled from the land of Israel, and our ancestors lost everything, they thought. And it's hard for so many of us to imagine such a calamity. But then our tradition says, after we mark this day of mourning, the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av, then God, through the prophet Isaiah, says, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort, comfort my people. After the nightmares, people need to bring comfort to one another. And I know that there's a whole lot of us who ask, where is God when terrible things like this happen? While I have a response to that for me, that's not what we talk about today. But in my sacred imagination, I do believe that God is asking us the same question. Where are you? And what's our response? So I'm speaking to you folks, not to our friends over here. I feel compelled to share that our job today and the many days to follow, not just today, it can't be just today, is to provide comfort to one another in your community and to Peter's family. Our job is to accompany and be present, not to try and fix, even though that's something we all want to do, but to sit and to listen and share memories that will bring our friends comfort. And as significant as it is that you are here, this is just the beginning. So I beg of you to keep showing up, little by little, and take care of our friends. Because I've learned in just small measure, and you're going to hear more shortly, but I've learned what an extraordinary person, human being, that Peter was. Thoughtful and kind and gentle, funny. He was charming and talented and decent. Loving, a loving son and brother, friend, relative, nephew, cousin, so much more. And because of all of that, we ask, what do we do in the face of such a loss? And I'm going to gently suggest, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. Comfort. Bring comfort to one another. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to start with a little comfort, even if it's through tears, even if it's with a broken heart. We're going to bring comfort to his family and to you, his friends, by listening to tributes and memories, stories, maybe something that'll make you smile. We're going to hear from some of his dearest friends and his brother and his father. And this is how we comfort and honor and respect and show our love. And this is how we keep memory alive. So we're going to start with some of his friends. And we're going to begin with Ryan, and then Noella, and then Evan, Kian, is that right? Kian, and Emmett. So Ryan, will you come forward? And when you who do come forward, it's okay. We'll get you through it. You just take a breath and share your truths. Okay? All right.
Peter was a brother to me. I can't remember the day that went past without him. And although things were cut way too short, I still cherished every moment I spent with him. I remember going to the mountains in the winter and to Florida in the summer, and those times were the best of my life. Even those times where we just hang out and sit around, they were so special. He just had a certain aura about him. I mean, anyone in his presence would just light up with joy. Not a single person I met could do what he did and what he had. I love you so much, and I thank you for being a fantastic friend. You will be remembered for the rest of my life. Okay. Thank you.
I'm Noella. I was Peter's girlfriend. I will, forever admire Peter's character. He made people feel so special with no effort at all. He made me laugh and smile every single day. He loves so hard and would always go out of his way to make others feel this way. He made people feel loved and seen and so special. I'm so lucky to have him as my first love. Peter was the type of person to always go the extra mile for the ones he loved. I will forever cherish every second I spent with him. Peter would have loved to see you guys all here. He loved all you guys. And I'm so glad you guys are all here to celebrate his life today. He was truly an amazing person, and he had a gift, and his gift was the way he treated people. He was generous and kind and loving and gentle, and he was an amazing person, and we're all so lucky to have known him. Thank you.
Peter was my best friend. I remember the first day I met him, he was so kind, gentle, and so wonderful to be around. I looked up to him, how iconic he was and how much he meant to other people around him. Peter never gave himself enough credit for all the wonderful things he had and worked for. He was so lovable and treated everyone with respect and kindness. Out of anyone I knew, he was the most incredible and wonderful. He always put other people's needs in front of his. He was so special, and I miss him so much. I still remember the last time I ever saw him. It was so vivid. I was lucky enough to hug him and say goodbye for the last time, Thursday. Even though he may be gone, I still believe that he'll be alive as long as we remember his name. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kian Lennon, and I've had the privilege of calling Peter my friend since kindergarten. To start, I'd like to offer my sincere condolences to Peter's family. I know this must be heartbreaking for you, and I just want you to know that I'm always going to be here for you as a friend to lean on. Peter was so good at so many things. Just this past year, he went to the Junior Olympics for fencing. In 6th grade, our robotics team went to the World Championships, where he had a knack for driving the robot extremely well. He was also exceptionally talented at playing the violin. Even mountain biking, he was more than able to keep up through sheer willpower and stubbornness. It seemed that no matter what it was, Peter would be able to do it. He was also incredibly smart. In particular, he excelled at social studies. He could straight up name almost every country based only on the shape. However, his most important ability was his ability to make friends and laughter wherever he went. He was so caring and loving to everyone he met, and he was a fiercely loyal friend. I know Peter would want this to be a celebration of life, and I know he'd somehow find a way to make this funny. I know he'd hate to see all of us so sad. He'd find a way to cheer us up like he always would. His mere presence was enough to brighten a room, to liven a conversation, because he was always a beacon, a center of laughter. In light of that, I'm going to share a couple of stories that are just so Peter. One memory I really remember was the time we camped in Wyoming. It was a summer camp with around 10 kids. We were basically by ourselves for an entire week. We only realized our mistake the first night when it was time for dinner. The only options were hot dogs and instant chicken ramen. The only problem was we were both vegetarian at the time. That night, we just ate the instant ramen without the chicken. It literally tasted like nothing. So the next night, Peter proposed a genius solution: to put hot sauce in the ramen. And that's what we ate for the entire week. Another memory, or rather series of memories, was our birthdays and birthday tradition. Peter and I's birthdays were a day apart, so we had a tradition to celebrate. We'd go to BJ's and Gateway with Ryan. These days were home to some of the fondest memories I have of Peter. On his last birthday, we drove to the Niwot Children's Park where we just had fun. We tossed a ball back and forth. We messed around on the zip line and playground. I remember we pushed each other as hard as we could, so that the zip line would slam into the end and we were swung up into the air, nearly falling off. We met up with Ryan and ate dinner at BJ's, talking and laughing the whole time. After we finished our food, we drove down the road to Gateway Park, where we played mini golf. Peter and I never stood a chance against Ryan's golfing prowess. We hit baseballs, raced go-karts, and used our years of experience to liberate as many tickets as possible in the arcade. But the memories I cherish the most are the simple moments of random, ridiculous bliss. Your hilarious sense of humor always made my day better. Whether it was how you pulled a joke, struck a pose, or just the way you acted and talked, making any situation happier, you were always able to make the stress in my life go away. And now it's time to say goodbye. The pain I feel isn't only the loss of a close friend, but the loss of a more confident, happier, better version of me that only existed with you. I would like to end this with one of my favorite quotes. I will see you again, but not yet, not yet.
I'm a little shorter than these guys. I wasn't feeling good this past week, so or the past day, so I didn't have anything prepared, but I'll just come from the heart. Apologize. Even though I only knew Peter for a year or two, you can see the peace that he ripped out of all of us, even if you knew him for a minute or 10 years. He loved everyone, and I've gone through all the negative this past week, and I just like to focus on the positive. Peter was really special, and I'm so grateful for every second I spent with him. I wish it could have been more, but he was one of a kind. I saw everyone's face lit up when they saw him in the hallway, and he'd walk around like with his duck feet, like. and then he'd be like, "Emmett, what's up?" And every time, no matter what, I saw him do that to about 30 people every passing period. He was practically famous. I've been trying to spend the last week remembering all the times I spent with him, whether it was our nightly jogs that we started doing. He got speedy. We would go out. It depends. Like, it would always be dark. Sometimes it would be like 11 p.m. And I remember our last jog we shared together. We ran to Ryan's house, and Peter was not as agile as my little gymnast body, so I'm sorry, Mike, lady, but we climbed up the vines, and we hopped on your roof, and it took Peter probably maybe like 20 minutes to get up the vines, and I was waiting. I was like, "Peter, come on, grab my hand," and he was like frozen, and he was so brave, and we made it to the top, and I knew Ryan and Ethan were home alone, and we together knocked on the window of Ryan's bedroom, and Peter thought it was the funniest thing we've ever done, and then Ryan called me, and I was like, "Peter, shh, I gotta pretend like I'm home," and Ryan was like, "Emmett, I think someone's trying to break in. I'm so scared." And I'm sorry, Mike. And Peter was like cracking. He was like, and I was like, "Ryan, you woke me up, bro. Like, do you want me to come over or something?" And then Peter kept knocking on the window, and Ryan finally opened the blinds, and it was Ethan and Ryan in just their underwear, and Ethan had tears in his eyes, and then it took, my phone fell into the bush when we were going down, so it took us about an hour to actually get off of the roof, but I don't know, maybe if it's okay, I'll share another story. Peter, I remember we went over to the bridge over in Longmont behind Dick's, and Peter was scared to death, and you jump into the river, and I remember we all helped him walk like across the I-beam, and then he stepped in Ryan's pee on the I-beam, because Ryan, I don't know, Ryan peed on he had to go to the bathroom. And I think we have it on video, but Peter took the plunge, and it was the funniest thing ever. And we're like, Peter, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. And I know Peter believed in all of us, more than a lot of us believe in ourselves. And I just think we have to comfort each other and focus on the positive, because I know that made me feel a lot better. And I know we can be sad all we want, but Peter wouldn't want us to be sad for too long. So we'll honor him, and then we'll get inspired to do our best, just like Peter did. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Henry. I'm Peter's brother. I have a speech on my phone. I think it's bad though, so I'm not gonna say it. So 8 nights ago, me and Peter were in the basement together, hanging out. We were talking, and he was telling me about how he had gotten asked out by 30 girls in one day. And I think that's something only Peter could do. He had infinite riz for sure. Yeah, and then we started talking more, and he was telling me about how he wanted to go to CU for psychiatry, which is very Peter. Then I said I didn't want to go to college, sorry. But he really wanted me to go to college. I still don't know if I do, but I might. And I thought that was funny. Then and eventually it was late. It was maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. So I said goodnight to him, and then went up to my room. But thought he would have liked that. And then when they were at Gateway together, I was there. I showed up with a friend, and I was there for a little bit. Peter, I don't remember why, but he smashed one of the golf clubs against a trash can, and then left it on the side of the road. He jumped out of the car to do that. I thought, yeah. And then, yeah, I think those are some of my favorite stories of him that I remember. And then, I don't know. Yeah, I miss him a lot. Fencing is going to be really, really quiet without Peter. When he was always the loudest. He got told to quiet down a lot, but I mean, yeah, that's who he was. Right, thank you all.
So it turns out, eventually, your children can become your best friends. You don't know this when you're changing diapers and trying to get toddlers to stay in their rooms and go to sleep. But at some point, as you continue to parent, you begin to enjoy your child as a friend, one you've known all their life. Even I have been blessed with 3 best friends, each wonderfully unique and each perfect, each loved beyond measure. But today we're here to remember and celebrate our first, our boy Peter. No words are adequate to describe our love and admiration for him. There are simply no words. But here's what I can share. The outpouring from his various communities have been amazing. Family, friends, fencers around the country. He loved his place in the world, and the world loved him back. Let's start with his first passion, the digging and bulldozing that went on along Longview Road in Niwot throughout his toddler years. As we'd approach, his big blue eyes would widen and his broad smile would appear. It was like Disney World for 2-year-old Peter. Then, early friends he made. Anna, Ben, Gabe, Ryan, Kian. Too many kids to name. Now young adults from Niwot Elementary School, each an extended part of our family, whether they know it or not. And of course, his closest friends, his 2 brothers, Henry and Charlie, his playmates, buddies, and frequent wrestling partners. My dad used to say that they were like 3 puppies in a basket, rolling around and nipping at each other until one fell out and had to be put back in. The love was evident, and the love was deep. Early on, his teachers began to recognize his individuality. Although Peter was never much about turning in his assignments, they always gave him an A+ for charm. And guys, that matters too. As Peter grew older, the boy was replaced by a young man. A very, very large young man with a permanent, easy smile, whose kindness extended to everyone he knew and everyone they knew on social media, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. A magnetism that drew people in, and a cool swagger. We traveled together often for fencing competitions. He loved the sport, but mostly the people, and would make friends wherever he went. He'd offer tips to others, including competitors, and congratulated everyone on a job well done. To him, it wasn't so much about winning as making human connections. One parent commented to me that after a difficult bout for her child, Peter went over and told him how well he had done and how much promise he had. She said, "That's when I knew I loved Peter. I loved traveling with him. He was joyful and curious and up for anything. We check out host cities. He'd bound down the streets gleefully, eagerly, enthusiastically, as I tried to keep up, marveling at the bright light that I was lucky enough to have beside me. And boy, could he eat. You know the Creole shortage in the Bay Area you've been hearing so much about? Well, our last trip was to San Jose, and that was Peter. He was a young man with countless friends. Too many to name. They are what fueled him. And he would hate to leave anyone out and hurt their feelings. That was Peter too. But just to name a very, very few: Noella, Ryan, Evan, Emmett, Noah, Kian, and Gabe from afar. I asked them if Peter ever had any enemies. Nope. Everyone loved Peter, they said. Peter even won the award for Niwot High School's Best Behaved Boy. And he was the first awardee, which I consider quite an honor. Peter put others first. He never let his challenges get in the way of helping others feel like they were the most important person in the world. And his gestures were 100% genuine, always. I have admired Peter so much. He had a vibe that radiated love, compassion, kindness, warmth, and fun. He was beginning to realize that this was his superpower. And just as he has passed, that superpower is what we and the world needs so much. So here's what I would ask. If each of us in this room would commit to sharing that vibe, love, compassion, kindness, warmth, and fun, even a little bit, we can make a difference in what is a too cruel world. Let that be Peter's legacy. A kid at school seems down and left out. Join them and offer a hand. A guy cuts you off in traffic. Smile. You can do it. Really. It'll be okay. Just smile. Finally, recently, Eve asked Peter to review some words she prepared to honor Charlie. Peter's reaction was lukewarm at best. He asked if he could punch it up to add more passion, and he did. So I want to close with a statement I hope would meet his high standards. Peter, we love you more than you can ever imagine. It is an honor to be your parents, your brothers, your family, your friends, to have shared this time and place with you. And we will miss you forever. Because you're not here in person, we will do everything we possibly can do to extend your love, kindness, warmth, and sense of fun to make this world a better place. You have given us our mission, and we will fulfill it. You will never, ever be forgotten. Thank you.
You know, in Jewish tradition, there's a teaching that says when a person dies and appears before the throne of God, the first question we are asked is not, have you believed in God? It is not, have you prayed? Nor is it, have you performed the ritual properly? On the contrary, the first question we are asked, so the rabbis of old have taught, have you been honorable and faithful in all your dealings with other people? Peter was an honorable and faithful human being. He cared for the well-being of those around him, whether you were family, friend, or stranger. There's a Yiddish word for behaving like that. It's called Menschlichkeit, being a mensch, a real, authentic human being. A sense of human decency that permeated his teen years with us in this world. So the rabbis ask, have you been faithful and honorable in all your dealings with other people? And for Peter, the answer is most certainly yes. And for this and so much else he gave to those around him, he will be remembered. And he will be remembered with love. And he will be remembered with grace. And with a smile when you think about that roof incident. And we will bring meaning to him and to his memory by making our lives good, decent, and kind, and meaningful, just like his dad shared. I'm going to ask you to rise if you are able. We share a prayer.
El male rachamim, shochein b'meromim, hametzei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashechina, im keroshim utehorim, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת פנחס גדיון בן דוד ואיב שהלך לעולמו בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו. וינוח בשלום על משכבו. ונאמר אמן.
God who is full of compassion, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Pinchas, Gidon ben David Ve'iv, who has entered eternity. God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. Let's all say amen. This concludes this part of our service for the day. For those that are going to the cemetery, there is no escorts, so we ask you to be careful coming out of the parking lot. And if you go to Mountain View Memorial Park, there'll be a brief ritual in the burial there. We wish you strength and comfort and take care of each other. And we'll ask you to go out the front entrance the way we came as the family prepares to go to the cemetery. And we'll see some of you there. After the cemetery, they're welcoming people to their home for you to extend your condolences and again, to show up. So strength to you.